Welcome to Films from the Phantom Zone, your podcast about failed and forgotten comic book movies, where we watch a forgotten superhero movie and decide, does this belong in the Phantom Zone to be forgotten for forever, or out and about for everyone to rewatch and remember fondly? My name is Ronaldo, I'm your host, and I'm joined by...
Berto.
Berto, what movie are we watching today?
Which title do I say?
The original title.
The original title or the original release title?
The third out of fourth title, the second thing you said.
Edge of Tomorrow.
There you go. So, we're doing the movie from 2014 called Edge of Tomorrow, but then Edge of Confusion, as Caleb is saying in the chat, because we're live on Twitch. I'll explain. We're watching Edge of Confusion.
I'm at the edge of confusion right now.
Seriously. Edge of Tomorrow, 2014 film starring Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, and then when it came out on DVD, they retitled it. Sort of. So we were talking about this off stream.
Yeah.
The movie is based on. We're gonna talk a little bit of background on this, but the movie was based on a Japanese light novel, which is like a picture book called
All You Need Is Kill.
Thank you. That title wasn't gonna work. They knew that from the get-go, so they were gonna call it Live.Die.Repeat, right? But then that title was like, we don't like it. They ended up on Edge of Tomorrow, but because this movie didn't do super well. When it kind of came out on Blu-ray, they were like, well, let's try this again. Let's switch it back to Live.Die.Repeat, right? Here's the thing. It's not official. Like, if you start the movie, it still says Edge of Tomorrow on the title.
Yeah.
So it's not like they really changed the title. All they did is change the box art. And I'm going to show everyone on stream now, and I'm going to link it below this box art.
It's confusing.
Because the original poster, which I will also link below, had Live.Die.Repeat as a tagline, which a lot of posters have. Right. You know, it's like... The Batman poster had something that Riddler said.
Vengeance.
Yeah, that's a tagline, right? This movie had Live.Die.Repeat as a tag, and then for the box art on the Blu-ray, they flipped it. So the words Live.Die.Repeat take up the whole fucking box. And on the very bottom, it says Cruise/Blunt/Edge of Tomorrow.
So which is it?
Exactly. That never helps. Like, if you retitle the movie when it comes out on Blu-ray, people are going to be like, you know, if they don't look at these specific pictures.
They're like, is this the movie I watched that I liked?
Exactly. They're not going to remember if they saw this movie or not, 6 months prior or whatever. So it's very confusing. Did not make a lot of money, unfortunately.
It did make its budget back, though.
Or
more than its budget back.
Apparently, it made its marketing back, too. So it did make some profit.
Well, there was like no marketing, so.
Apparently, there's $100 million in marketing.
What did they do?
They put up all the worst billboards that you didn't see, I guess.
The worst billboards. The marketing for this movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible marketing.
So let's start from the top. We have a set of rules that make up our selection process for how we pick our movies, right? And I haven't talked about them in a long time, so if you've been a long time listener, you might remember this. But number one, it has to be a comic book superhero film, right? Number two, it has to be a failed franchise, meaning it's out of business, they're not going to make any more of them. And number three is if it ends on its own terms, without setting up for a failed sequel, then it passes, right?
Right.
This film is kind of in on a technicality, on several technicalities.
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to...
For almost every category, it's like technically it fits it. Yeah.
We want to fluff up the show a little bit. We want more episodes. We want more movies to watch because there is a finite number of movies we can talk about, right?
Right.
So, number one, is this a comic book movie?
Technically.
Well, technically no, actually.
But technically, yes.
Well, here's the thing. It's not based on a manga. It's based on a Japanese light novel.
That was turned into a manga.
So, yeah, sure. Yes, it was. So that is a thing. So the difference is that a light novel is basically just a picture book. It's like a regular novel. It's written out in prose with a narrator.
But there's a lot of illustrations and stuff.
There's a lot of illustrations. Like every other page has a manga style illustration.
So it's like almost halfway there.
It's like halfway there, yeah. They're young adult novels. Quite often they're then adapted into mangas, maybe animes, maybe movies, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost there, right? It's almost a technicality, basically.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this a superhero movie?
He gets superpowers.
Oh, he does have a superpower.
Yeah.
This actually, it totally counts.
It counts.
And he's like this warrior in a mech suit. It's very Japanese when you think about it.
Yeah. Our next movie is going to be a weird technicality, too, for like the opposite reasons.
Yes. So, and that's why we're doing this. We are doing a mini Tom Cruise marathon. A cruise-a-thon, if you will. So there is a rumor that Tom Cruise might appear in an upcoming thing. I don't want to talk more about it just in case. If you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, cool, let's do a Tom Cruise-a-thon. We're doing 2 Tom Cruise films back to back. This movie, Edge of Tomorrow, Live.Die.Repeat, and Oblivion, which came out, I think, either the same year or 1 year apart. Really weird.
It was like close enough to where I feel like it might have affected this movie.
Maybe. 2 Tom Cruise sci-fi pictures. He doesn't do that many sci-fi.
No, he
either.
doesn't. It's weird that he did 2 so close together.
Yeah. And that movie, Oblivion, is based on a graphic novel that was just never released. It was never published. So the guy who made the graphic novel ended up making the movie. So that's how he got his thing out.
Yeah.
But the graphic novel never came out. So
But I don't think
it counts.
Yeah.
Sure, right?
It does because we said so.
Right, exactly. And then the other thing, this movie, Edge of Tomorrow, has a sequel that they were going to make, and they keep saying they're going to make it, and I'll believe that when I see it. Because the last time anyone said anything about it was 2019 or 2020, like before the pandemic. And they're like, yeah, we're just waiting for all the stars to align. We're waiting for Tom Cruise's schedule to line up with our schedule and Emily Blunt, and it's going to happen.
Yikes.
The script is finished. Doug Liman says the script is finished and everything. In 2021, Emily Blunt was like, let's be for real, it's not happening. And then last month, I shit you not, there are rumors that this is going to be turned into like I think an Amazon Prime TV show or an HBO Max TV show.
I think it was HBO Max. I remember reading that too.
Yeah.
There's no way they're getting Tom Cruise in for an HBO Max show though.
No, not at all. And so if it is going to be an HBO Max show, then it's probably a full-on reboot.
Either reboot or spin-off.
They're not going to... I mean, a spin-off would be fun, especially if it leads to a sequel.
Yeah.
You know? But if I had to guess, I would say they're going to like make it just a complete reboot. And therefore, this has now failed. And it was kind of failed and forgotten from the first place.
Yeah, which is weird because I don't think this movie should have failed.
Cool. So this movie is available on nowhere to stream. You can rent it, though. It is available to rent. I happen to buy it. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix in Canada. Yes.
If you're in Canada.
Or if you have a VPN, NordVPN. Fuck, I should have watched it on Netflix. Shit.
Yeah, you idiot. Berto bought this like a bozo. What we do, we usually go through the plot, go through some background information, which we kind of already did. Initial expectations. I already said plot. We're going to analyze the movie to the best of our ability. Keep or cancel, where we're going to either keep or cancel. Now, hear me out, because we're going to talk about Tom Cruise.
Right.
Tom Cruise is maybe like the most interesting person alive.
He's weird.
So
he might be weirder than Nick Cage.
what I think, yeah, maybe. What I want to do is I want to split this up. He's more problematic. I want to split this up into 2 Tom Cruises, if you will. Tom Cruise number 1, the actor, and Tom Cruise number 2, the person / Scientologist.
Okay.
And then maybe at the end of next week, we'll decide which of the 2 Tom Cruises wins if we were to put both Tom Cruises in a room and have them beat each other up. Do we keep or cancel?
Ooh.
So today is going to be the actor. We're going to just talk about his acting career. And then we'll decide finally if the movie belongs in the Phantom Zone to be forgotten or not. Also, couple things I want to talk about at the top of the show. Number 1, we are streaming on Twitch. We stream every episode on Twitch. You can be here distracting us in the chat every Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time at twitch.tv/filmsfrompz. We have several people in the chat trying to talk to us while we try to focus.
It's great.
It's amazing. That's part of the fun. That's why a 2-hour episode of Films from the Phantom Zone lasts 5 hours in the recording session, because we're here on Twitch having a good time. And then the last thing is we have a second bonus podcast called Where's Mephisto, where we watch streaming television, whatever's streaming right now, and we ask, where's Mephisto? Is he in this?
Probably not.
Probably not. It gives us an excuse to watch and talk about whatever's streaming now, and that's only on our Patreon. Links below, Films from the Phantom Zone. You can find us. So first we're doing Peacemaker, kind of retrospectively.
Yeah.
Most of that should already be out by now. And then Moon Knight. We're going to be talking about Moon Knight weekly as it comes out.
Yep.
Followed by the next thing. What's the next thing after Moon Knight? Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Kenobi.
That's like a month later, right?
Yeah. It's a very loose structure to just watch the shows. And maybe Mephisto. Here's the thing. Mephisto's going to pop his ass out one of these days, and we're going to call it, because we're calling that he's in everything. So
Yep.
we'll be watching whatever's coming out, whether it's Marvel, DC, Star Wars, doesn't matter what it is.
Hell yeah.
And we'll be talking about all of that on Where's Mephisto. If that sounds fun to you, if you like us and you would like to support the show, help us going, help us pay for all this equipment, we would appreciate that so much. And that is on our Patreon. Are you ready to move on?
Yes.
Cool. Usually we would do the background right now, but we actually, in the intro, talked a lot about this movie already. How it's a light novel.
Yeah.
And how it was called...
All You Need Is Kill.
All You Need Is Kill. You know the other problem with that in a Western audience? The association with the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love.
I think that would make it like somewhat more interesting
You
of
think?
a title. I don't know.
Because it gets the song stuck in my head, that's all. It's like a weird association, you know?
Yeah.
So here's something else on the background I did want to mention. This got several scripts.
Like several completely different scripts.
Yeah, it got rewritten a bunch of times.
Huh.
The studio hired Doug Liman to direct that script. Okay, so that script was then rewritten by, they approached Brad Pitt to star. He declined, then they approached Tom Cruise. That's interesting.
Huh.
Once Cruise accepted, the script changed the age of the leading role to fit the actors. Excuse me, they're like the same age. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt might be like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Well, maybe that's why they made him a major.
Okay, and here we go. Screenwriter duo Roberto Orsi and Alex Kurtzman also delivered a draft of their own.
I'm assuming that one wasn't used.
No, because
Thank
then
God.
screenwriter Simon Kinberg, who is best known for making a lot of X-Men movies,
Mm-hmm.
Simon Kinberg takes over, and then he's replaced by Christopher McQuarrie, the writer-director, right? Who was working on Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise.
Oh.
Because he's a director. He's also directing... He's the one directing the new Mission Impossible movies.
Which is basically what Jack Reacher was.
I think Cruise probably brought him. Remember, Tom Cruise is also always like a producer on everything he does.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty smart producer, judging by like how a lot of his movies in the last like decade have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Or they work for the right reasons.
He understands.
He kind of gets it. He gets movies, even
Yeah.
though he doesn't get much else, I think. We'll talk about it a lot next week. So Cruise apparently stressed the importance of the story's humor to McQuarrie, and that kind of led to the screenplay that we got.
Okay.
But it's just kind of funny that went through so many writers, and it could have been an Orsi and Kurtzman script, and it wasn't.
Oh, I wonder. Oh, they would have gone crazy with the special blood.
Yeah. Well, when I saw that, I was like, oh no, special blood, magic blood.
They
And
would
who
have been
kno-
like, oh yeah, this is passed down through my family from an ancient civilization.
Well, here's the thing. How do we know that that's not the one element that survived their pass on the script, you know?
Well, I guess, if we haven't read the source material, we don't know.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Oh, wait, no, I think it's in the source material. Hold on. Let me look real quick. Just says, through some inexplicable phenomenon, he wakes up and finds out he's returned to the... So...
Same concept, it's
The
just not
ma-
as specific.
The magic blood, that could totally be something
Whoa.
kept over from Orsi and Kurtzman.
It did work in this movie, though, for the role that it played.
Yeah, it works just fine. But
Yeah.
you know, if they had written this movie 10 minutes after it's over, you would have been like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because that's how all their movies work. Okay, cool. That's all I got on background. Initial expectations. Do you remember seeing this movie?
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, that looks like an interesting movie. And then I think I just went with a few friends from work and we just watched it and I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't like hyped for the movie or anything. I was just like, that looks interesting.
I don't think I even knew what this was before I saw it. I went on a blind watch. I was just like, let's go see this, I guess. But I didn't know what the twist was. Like, I didn't know the premise of this. So when it happened, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is a movie that if you don't know what, like, the twist or the premise, it's not really a twist in the beginning of the movie. What the premise is, it might work best if you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I kind of like Edge of Tomorrow better, because he's always on the edge of tomorrow, but he can't quite get there, right? If he keeps dying.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway.
Maybe.
I remember the main kind of gist of it, but it's nice because it felt like watching it all over again, and I quite enjoyed the experience. So,
All right.
let's get into it. A news report montage shows that a meteor hit Germany and unleashed an alien invasion, which quickly conquered Europe. Major William Cage, played by Tom Cruise, a PR officer whose experience lies solely in advertising and not combat, publicly introduces the jacket technology, a mech suit that requires minimal training and will turn the tides of the war. They also report on Sergeant Rita Vitrasky, Emily Blunt, who has been heralded a hero and nicknamed the Angel of Verdun, but also Full Metal Bitch.
This movie does what a lot of like movies also do at the beginning with like the news reels and stuff, just kind of explaining what's going on.
Yeah.
But like in this movie, it didn't feel annoying or anything like that because I felt like I was actually learning about what was happening. I don't know. There's something about the way it was done felt fine. I know we've made fun of like this, like
yeah, but okay, I made fun of this, for example, most recently in the Batman. But in the Batman does it a lot to just kind of like continue moving the story a little bit.
Okay.
When I feel like if you're just going to like set up the main premise of the film and then that's it, I think that's perfectly fine. It's very similar to like an opening crawl. You know, we're just kind of like, hey, here's what's going on. This background information is necessary. However, it'd be a waste of time to like really delve into it because that's not where the story is.
This is just the world that this takes place.
Exactly.
This is the state of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm like, that's perfectly fine. Like, the story is not, hey, there's an alien invasion happening.
Right.
It's Tom Cruise is stuck in a time loop.
Yeah.
And that's
the alien invasion is the backdrop.
Yeah, exactly. So it's perfectly okay in that sense, right? Major Cage, that's kind of funny. Major Cage is kind of funny. Major Cage arrives in London at the request of General Brigham. The United Defense Force, a coalition of all the nation's military forces, are planning Operation Downfall, a large-scale attack that starts with a D-Day storming the beaches of Normandy. He wants Cage to attend to sell the invasion on the news. Cage scoffs at the idea of putting himself in harm's way, but the general is insistent on putting him in a jacket and on the front lines. Cage refuses, saying that he does not report to the general, but the general has been granted authority from the U.S. Army. As a last resort, Cage threatens to blackmail Brigham, and Brigham has him arrested.
So
this confuses me a lot.
Why do they want him on the front lines so bad?
Don't understand.
What do they gain by having one more body there as cannon fodder?
I have no idea. And I've heard no good explanation for this. And
like, I get they want somebody filming it. Okay. But like,
they could have anybody.
Yeah. Don't put an officer on the front lines.
This is illegal. Surely, right? Like,
well, what both of them did was illegal.
But you can't just like have someone you don't like murdered in like a war. That's a war crime, right? Surely. Like, and you know, Philly the J in the chat's like, I have no idea how military ranks work. I don't either. I'm not in the military.
Not like this.
But like, what is going on? This is... Let's move on. I want to double back here because I'm really trying to wrap my head around why this would happen because he doesn't even seem...
What's the reasoning?
He doesn't seem like a bad guy either.
No, he's good at what he does, and what he does is like advertising.
Yeah.
He does propaganda for the military.
And I feel like because he's given an honorary title, like a rank, which a lot of people are.
Well, he said he joined after ROTC, so he joined the military as an officer. So he's a full-on, like, officer.
But even then, like...
Like, he's actually a major in the...
Yeah. Let's double back here. Cage wakes up on a military base by a drill sergeant repeatedly calling him maggot. He tries to pull rank, but is met by Master Sergeant Farrell, who has orders to treat him like a deserter caught impersonating an officer, and will under no circumstance allow him Private Cage to avoid combat duty. He recites, "Good news is there's hope for you yet, Private. Hope in the form of glorious combat. Battle is the great redeemer, the fiery crucible, which only the true heroes are forged. The one place where all men truly share the same rank, regardless of what kind of parasitic scum they were going in."
He does so well in this role. Oh my God.
So that's Bill Paxton playing like...
Rest in peace. He was amazing. Yeah.
Playing this like Kentucky corn-fed, born and bred, like... brainwashed.
No, he is like a stereotypical drill sergeant.
This is absolutely a lot of this is Full Metal Jacket references.
Yeah.
This guy is like everything that's wrong with the military, right? It's a lot of it's
he's
brainwashing.
Like, yeah, we're all gonna go and die.
Yeah, and he's like, it's glorious combat, the great redeemer. Now, here's my problem with this: is Tom Cruise's character is William Cage? Is he a bad guy? Why do they? Like, what's the justification for doing this?
As far as everybody in the space knows, he's just a deserter.
No, but why
nobody likes that.
Okay, and first of all, also in the chat, great point. Bill Paxton's character Master Sergeant Farrell from Kentucky, he's asked, "Oh, you're American?" And he says, "No, sir, I'm from Kentucky." Which is a great line that either said, obviously he knows that's in America, he just doesn't care about anything this motherfucker has to say to him.
Right.
Beautiful. Because you see Tom Cruise sort of rolling his eyes. He's like thinking about like what is wrong with this person?
Yeah. It reminded me of an Infinity War. He's like, "You're from Earth?" He's like, "No, I'm from Missouri."
Oh, yeah. But it's like, this is so illegal. Like, the general just can't. It would work a little bit better for me, I think, if I knew what his justification could possibly be.
That's one of the parts where jumping into it may not have been good. Like, if we got a little more background on Cage, like maybe he was like scummy or something.
I think the movie would have had to establish that he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, how far does this conspiracy go? Like, because I get not liking Tom Cruise, sure, but like everyone is complicit in his attempted murder. Like, so illegal. There's nothing to establish that he's a piece of shit. Like, he's a bad guy. And I would understand if he was like some scummy guy and they were trying to punish him. Like, if he did something to the
I
general.
think after the blackmail, it became punishment.
Clearly it was punishment beforehand, though. And even at the blackmail part, I cannot blame Tom Cruise for that, or Cage. Like, he's sent in to die, and it's clear as day.
Yeah, they don't even teach him how to use the mech suit.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
he's running around yelling, "How do I turn off my safety?"
If he was a bad guy, I would understand the character arc, where it's like, he's a bad guy, he gets thrown in the equivalent of like jail, basically, where he's gonna die, and then as the movie progresses, he becomes skilled, and he learns everything he needs to learn, and his character arc is complete, and he becomes a good person, and he saves people, and he saves the day.
He becomes a superhero.
But in the beginning of the movie, he's just a dude.
Yeah,
like he's neither
he's
good
a little
nor
bit
bad.
of a coward, but like that's.
But who wouldn't be
in that situation? You're right. Who wouldn't?
Like
be?
if you haven't been properly trained and you haven't been like properly brainwashed to like go fight these aliens or whatever. But like
a little bit of Starship Troopers there too.
A little bit, yeah. That's a good movie.
That's a great movie.
But he's just kind of a PR bullshit douchebag. Like, that's not enough justification for everyone in the chain of command to be complicit and being like, yeah, let's murder this fucking guy. Because again, this man, the sergeant, doesn't question the orders. He's like, no, I've been told he's a deserter, and therefore he is, what does he call him?
Parasitic scum.
He's a parasitic scum, and the only way of redeeming himself is in glorious combat. That's what this man truly believes. He doesn't know it's a lie.
Right. He just believes it.
But like, this general has falsified tons of records, has decided, fuck this guy in particular.
The general's a bad guy. Because
I'm going to send him into a war where I know he's going to die. Like, there's no questioning it.
To be fair, he did say that the invasion there should be minimal...
casualties?
Not minimal casualty, minimal resistance.
Yeah, so they think, and that's
so they think, and they actually did think so, but
that's a plot point later on in the movie. But like, again, at the time, I just don't see how this man would just be like, I don't like you because you're not a real like army guy, like you're just a PR.
Look, that's his job, though.
Yeah, he's just doing his fucking job, and I think he's doing a pretty good job at it because everyone is supporting your jacket bullshit.
And he says that to him.
Exactly. And he offers his help to make him like a fucking a book. He's like gonna make him a memoir.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to the chat. I understand that Farrell is also brainwashed, but his speech sounds like it was written by someone who's never been in combat. I get the impression that like he has, and he fucking loves it. Like he's
psycho.
He's a psycho, and that's what gives his life like meaning. So he's
also, Bill Paxton was so amazing in like ridiculous roles like this.
He does so much and so little. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's move on because we barely started the movie.
We're like stuck in this conspiracy with Tom Cruise.
I know, but it's fascinating, and I think it's one of the only weaknesses in this whole movie.
Yeah, and it's really fucked up.
It's super fucked up. The J Squad suit up in their jackets and refuse to assist Cage in any way, including telling him how to disengage his safety. Jesus fucking Christ. They march onto their dropships and joke that Cage will die in minutes. The dropship gets hit by a missile, and not all soldiers make it to the beach. The battlefield is hectic. Many of the J Squad die quickly around Cage, who still hasn't a clue on how to disengage his safety, much less operate his weapons. Cage witnesses the famous Rita Vertasky kill mimics with a sword before she's killed herself. He's rounded up by Master Sergeant Farrell and what's left of J Squad, who are astonished the enemy knew that they were coming. Just then, a hidden mimic kills the squad. Cage disables the safety and shoots it dead. A large blue mimic appears with more mimics. Hidden from sight, Cage grabs a claymore mine and detonates it while attacked by the blue mimic. They both die, and Cage is splattered in its blood. He awakens in the exact place he started the previous day.
His first death here is super like brutal. The blood's like burning him and stuff, and
yeah. Well, it gives him the superpowers. It's like acid blood.
Yeah.
Which is a fun trope, aliens with acid blood. A lot here. It was just like one big scene.
Yeah, there is a lot of there's a lot of foreshadowing in this entire sequence too, especially when he's being introduced to J Squad. When he talks about like fate being in your own hands and stuff like that. And
yeah. I thought this sequence was great.
It's like a slightly toned down version of the Saving Private Ryan D-Day scene.
I thought
it's nowhere near as brutal as that, but
it's a little poetic that this would be a D-Day scenario. They're like, all right, let's storm the beaches of Normandy. It might be partly this PR stunt because storming the beaches of Normandy is what we were taught turn the tides of World War II.
And that's why they wanted to film it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I like that bit. The action is superb.
Yeah.
In all of this. This is all incredible. This is so fun to watch.
And it's easy to follow what's happening.
Yeah. It's very much through his perspective.
Yeah.
And he's freaking the fuck out because people are exploding, dying left and right.
And he still doesn't know how to shoot.
There's fucking aliens all over the place. And I love that up until this point in the movie, we know barely anything about these aliens.
Yeah.
And we finally get to kind of see them, and you learn very slowly like what their deal is, but it's good stuff.
And then they're like, oh, I think there's something wrong with this suit. Yeah, there's a dead man in it. And then he's just like, he's still screaming, how do I turn off the safety? How do I turn off the... And then it explodes like, oh my God.
He finally figures it out on accident in a different language.
Yeah.
Because he's just like button mashing and it finally like unlocks. Thank you for reminding me because I do want to talk about later about why they're called mimics. It feels like that's a spoiler. Like you would have to know what the movie is in order to name them mimics. You know, because they end up mimicking each day.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that.
It's weird that they call them mimics because in like most like fantasy or sci-fi settings, like a mimic is something that like pretends to be an object or something and then it tricks you.
And I kind of forgot. I think both times watching this movie, I assume maybe they shapeshift a little bit. They don't.
They like come out of the ground.
I mean, they hide. They burrow.
Yeah. So I think it's just their name.
So they were called mimics in the Japanese source material. But even then, it's like translated. So who knows?
Maybe that wasn't like their original.
Yeah. CGI, pointing out in the chat here. Fantastic for them, too. They look amazing.
They
really do look good.
They look real, but they also don't stand still long enough for you to really like examine them.
Yeah. They're like tentacle, squiddy, spidery guys.
Yeah. Cage runs by one of them like slamming a guy into the ground repeatedly.
Oh, yeah. You know, they kind of behave a lot like the symbiote. Like the Venom.
A little bit,
symbiote. Yeah. Oh, this is when we're in a Groundhog's Day. We're in a Groundhog's Day, people.
Oh, yeah, this is where it starts.
Up. I did write down that he stares at the camera when he says, like, you might think this is ironic, my sense of notion of fate.
Yeah.
This whole movie is about what your notion of fate is, because you get to relive it and change it.
It's kind of like a wink nudge type thing.
So I like that he kind of like stares the camera down when he does that. All right. Confused about why he's reliving the morning in almost the same exact way, he reacts differently as he's introduced to the J Squad and ponders the Master Sergeant's notion that they are masters of their fate. That's when he kind of like looks off. He's like, this is fucking okay. Yeah. Once again, he's strapped in his suit and dropped on the beach. Remembering the details from the fight, he saves Rita, but at the expense of his own life. The loop starts again.
She leaves him to die.
Yeah. She takes his battery or something's like, you taking my battery?
Why did you take my battery? Because she's like, there's a hole in your chest. And he goes, really?
He looks down. There's a giant hole burning in his fucking chest. So every Groundhog's Day movie has to set its own rules. So it's like a time travel movie. You have to like set your own unique rules.
Yeah.
Varies from movie to movie. This one about that you have to die, and we kind of mentioned this earlier. I don't remember if we mentioned it in a part where we're going to cut out or not. So he has to die. And he starts at the same exact day to play. And I say play because it's a video game trope. To start all over again.
Yeah, it's like loading up a checkpoint in a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start to learn what everyone does, and that's part of the game experience. And I think we talked about this sort of when we were talking about Spider-Man the game, that like the last level is the easiest because the game doesn't want you to do it over and over again. It's going to kind of dilute the story.
Yeah.
It wants you to just do it once, and then boom, game's over.
Mm-hmm.
So diluting the story would be, I think this movie, and we're going to talk about it, does a really good job of telling like a cohesive story, even though the characters reliving the same shit to a monotonous degree.
Yeah. Well, it knows when to like not show things.
Yeah.
Like it knows when to be like, all right, I've done this before. Because we're not seeing every attempt he has at doing something. We're usually just seeing the part that works and moves him a little bit further.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The differences, the little bits. And I think that's done very well. And I'm not to go into another tangent, but Groundhog's Day apparently lasts 30 years. How long does the life of Tom Cruise... Sorry. How long does this last in the life of Tom Cruise to completely memorize the pathless battle?
Unclear, but probably a very long time.
He might have been... So there's another Groundhog's Day movie, which I like to not talk about because I don't want to spoil it, because I think that movie works super well if you have no idea what it is. But in that movie, which I won't say still, I guess, he doesn't even remember how long he's been there. It's been centuries, maybe.
No shit.
And he's just like, he barely remembers his life before the loop. So, got like, fuck. Later on, I think Rita says like she did it like at least 300 times.
So almost a year.
I imagine he's probably doing this for like a year or two.
I'm going to guess longer because he dies
Really?
a lot of stupid deaths.
But I mean, the day's only as long as he survives.
Right. How many times do you think he died?
But the thing is, he doesn't die until day 2, no matter what.
Yeah. Well,
So he lives through day 1.
there's that one
every
part where
single
he
scenario.
gets run over by the truck.
Oh, except except for that
Actually,
part.
he gets killed a lot of times on the military base, still just trying to meet up with her. 160th?
Who are you referring to, Philly? You're talking about this movie? Because I feel like we see 160 deaths, and that doesn't count the ones that are just mentioned.
Yeah.
Huh? Interesting.
I don't know if it ever says in the movie though how long.
I don't think it does, but I would. By the way, he knows so much. I imagine it's been so many more than that.
It also brings me to that little time loop in Doctor Strange. I always wondered how many times Doctor Strange died there.
Could have been a century, for all you know.
And that's why he's so good now at magic.
Yeah. On the third morning, he terrifies everyone by knowing their names and predicting their actions like a deranged psychic. They respond by taping his mouth shut before strapping him into his suit. Stuck in this loop and dying over and over and over again, he learns his way around the battlefield, once again saving and guiding Rita through battle. She recognizes his special ability and asks him to find her when he wakes up and willingly dies. Thought that was kind of hardcore. She's just like, come find me, drops all her weapons, dies.
Yeah. I'm sure he's like, what the fuck?
Apparently there's an argument because he becomes such a good soldier, it would be at least 5 years. Yeah, I feel like he was there for a while. Like he at one point he's able to draw out the movements of every single mimic, and then later on in the movie he does the same thing for like a new scenario, because there's so many times where they change up their objectives and then he has to learn everything in that new location, you know?
Yeah.
That's like a new stage of the
And then
game.
he'll be like, no matter how many times I try to do this happens.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
When they're infiltrating the building, he's like counting everyone's steps.
Yeah. I wonder how many times he infiltrated the building.
Yeah. He wakes up this time approaching his morning differently by openly agreeing and being willingly obedient. He fashions an escape plan that gets him killed the first time before ultimately getting away to find Rita. He introduces himself and she correctly assumes that he died killing a blue mimic and getting covered in its blood, admitting she had the same gift but lost it. She leads him into a basement where a scientist explains the mimics. The individual mimics are led by alphas, big blue ones like the one Cage killed. The swarm is led by an omega, who serves as a central consciousness for the hive mind. The omega has the ability to reset the day if an alpha is killed. Using the information learned in multiple resets, the mimic army has the potential to conquer planets with ease. By killing the alpha and having it bleed onto Cage as he was dying, it's given Cage the same power. The omega will want to find Cage, so Cage will have visions as he nears it. Their plan is to find the omega and kill it utilizing Cage's resurrective abilities. Rita urges him to die in the event of serious injury, for in her case, she was injured and sent to a hospital where she was given foreign blood and lost the Alpha's abilities. Whew, that was a lot.
It does a very good job setting up the rules, though, here.
I did like this. As far as info dumps go, this wasn't bad. This was pretty good.
No, not at all. And then it kind of ups the stakes a bit where it's like, you better make sure you die every day because...
And also, that part happens later. Like, there's like a training montage, and she explains that like halfway through the montage.
After he gets killed multiple times, gets his back broken.
Oh, yeah. And earlier in the movie, I kind of questioned, like, well, Rita, how did you know that you lost it if you didn't die? And later on in the movie, it's like, I can feel that I don't have it anymore.
Right.
And the blood transfusion makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So maybe this magic blood concept actually served the plot. It helps that, like, this isn't all new information, too. The info dump, like, you already knew these creatures. You had seen them a bunch.
Yeah, and you picked up that he was in a time loop, I'm sure.
Obviously. So, like, if this happened in the beginning of the movie, because we've seen movies where, like, they tell you way too much up front, and you spend the whole movie kind of confused.
Because you forgot all of it.
Or because it doesn't make sense when it's just kind of, like, spoon-fed to you in a paragraph. You're like, well, hold on a second, like... Like movies where it's like, all right, there's these 4 factions, or these people, and all of them have, and you're like, what? No, can I live it? Can you show it to me? You know, show, don't tell, please.
This whole like info dump also feels like there's a lot of good things like set up here, like just like the concept with like the don't get the foreign blood in you, because that'll fuck everything up. Obviously we realize by now, but like dying resets the cycle. Like all the rules are set here. And, like, there's a lot of stuff set up here that does have a payoff later.
Yeah.
Almost everything set up in this movie has a payoff.
Oh, absolutely. Cage begins a new loop of escaping his squad, introducing himself to Rita, training until he gets injured, and subsequently shot in the head by Rita multiple times.
She's training him. It's fine.
It's not murder. He suggests transferring his power to her by way of blood transfusion or sex, but she shoots him down, saying she's tried it all.
How many times?
But how many times? That was funny.
It was funny.
The next time he dies, he has visions of the Omega's location under a bunker in the mountains. They have their new objective, and training is over. So this is a great way to shoot down the notion, literally, that the 2 attractive leads must fall in love. Except let's also keep watching the movie. But that's kind of how I read this scene where it's like, oh, are they going to start liking each other? And she's like, no.
He still likes her.
Maybe. But that's the thing. And we talked about it off air. But like, he is becoming more attached to her because he's spending a lot of time with her.
And he keeps watching her die.
And that's going to take a toll on him.
Yeah.
Whereas she has known this man for a few hours each time.
Each time, yeah.
She's got like a memory issue by way of his time traveling.
It's not her fault.
No, it's no one's fault. These are fun montages, though, I think. All the training stuff.
Yeah. It's a good way to kind of have fun with it and also show that he is learning.
For sure. The new loop involves getting through the battlefield on the beach. Each new day, they write out their strategy, and Cage teaches her the battleground. After witnessing Rita die multiple times, Cage takes a break one day and escapes the base to get a drink at a pub, where he's called a coward by old war vets. Because everyone's at war. London's like empty.
Yeah.
He walks out into a nearly empty London to see hundreds of mimics swimming up the Thames River who kill him.
And this is kind of where he discovers that, okay,
there's stakes.
Yeah.
I think that's
like London's going to fall if we don't win tomorrow.
It's unclear what day this is.
I think it's while he was supposed to be
on the beach.
On the beach,
right?
yeah.
I like the idea that he's like, I've got as many days as I want.
Yeah.
Like, I can take a break.
And then when he's talking to someone at the bar, he's like, I'm usually dead by now.
And they're all, because they're criticizing him for being like a young, healthy man who's not fighting the war.
He's like the only one that isn't.
Right. I mean, if I was in this time loop, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be like, I need like multiple days. I need like at least one day off a week.
Can I have a drink at least?
Yeah. Like, I totally get it. And it is a little bit of downtime. We were mentioning in the Peacemaker episode on Where's Mephisto we were talking about. I like when a character goes to a bar because it is like, at least narratively speaking, it's like when they're kind of vulnerable. They're there to kind of wind down and decompress after like whatever the plot's thrown their way,
Yeah.
And so this is when he's kind of like, he's beat the fuck up mentally at this point. Like he has no current injuries. He's not in pain, but like it's taking a mental toll on him. Like all of this watching people around him die, especially someone he's getting attached to.
And then dying yourself immediately afterwards.
Yeah. And not only that, imagine like the mental exhaustion of like memorizing like these steps over and over and over, and then like fighting a war every single day. Like,
yeah.
This is a much needed kind of breather, not just like story wise, but like it makes sense for his character to like want to go to a bar and just like, fuck today, I'll do it tomorrow. Like, I'll just, worst case scenario, I'll put a bullet in my head, start again tomorrow.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he gets killed by mimics anyway, so.
Yeah.
Man, this guy just cannot survive the day.
Well, I mean, they're taking over the world. I like when, after a while, he's like, just looking at Rita like, God, like, you're gonna die many more times, like, in front of me. She's like, you got anything on my face? Like, fuck off.
And he just goes like, no.
He's just traumatized.
But then she kind of looks at him like kind of weird, because I guess she notices his face.
Well, later on, it's revealed that she had the same experience with someone else.
Right.
She had a partner in the war. Obviously, like, every time she dies, she probably saw him die too, so.
Yeah.
Cage and Rita perfect their training and get past the beach, steal a car, and head for Germany. She hears on the radio that London is under siege, a fact that Cage was hiding from her. On the drive, Cage reveals that she eventually talks to him, but she is reluctant to get to know each other after she watched a fellow soldier die over 300 times. That's what I'll say. The car and the jackets run out of gas and battery power, and they are left on foot. They find a farmhouse and a helicopter, but Cage insists that they take it slow, against Rita's suggestions of shooting Cage and starting over. I love that she just pulls the gun on him. She's like, nah, right. Fuck it, let's do this again. He's like, calm down.
He's like, wait.
Cage makes her coffee and accidentally reveals that they've done this before. He doesn't want to speed through because in every iteration, once they get to the helicopter, Rita dies. Cage argues that they try it differently. She wait in the cellar while he continues because there's no other way she'll stay alive. She starts the helicopter anyway. The mimics attack and she dies. And as she dies, she admits her real middle name is Rose. My only problem here is how the fuck do they fit in the cars with the fucking mech suits on?
It looked like they like barely fit in it. Because they literally got into the car, but like how?
You know, like when you forget you're wearing a backpack and you sit down and you're like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's like that, but times 10.
Much less like drive it. Like, are your hands that free?
I don't know.
Huh.
Because they're both wearing their jackets in the car.
Yeah.
In the chat, someone has a problem with this scene. Let's see. His issues start with the small town. I hate the keys in the sun visor trope in movies. Don't they hotwire the car, or they find the keys?
They find the key was in the sun visor. I think that's a thing people did in real life, though.
It is a trope in movies, though. But you gotta start the car somehow. You're not gonna waste time anyway. Then we have the good. Oh, good, we're safe. Oh shit, we're not trope. Then that's just storytelling. Then we get to the farmhouse, and for me, this movie stopped dead. As I said earlier, I started wanting to look at my phone. I started getting bored fast. The movie goes from 100 miles per hour. Thanks for using miles per hour so we understand. To 5 in about 3 minutes flat. I don't need the characters to be emotionally attached. I don't need the don't fall in love with me, I'm not good for you trope. And I don't need him trying to get to know her because he is getting all lovey-dovey with the girl that has killed him 1,000 times.
I didn't have a problem with this.
I don't think I agree with you.
I think the movie needed a break. It was going too fast at this point.
Yeah, this is a nice break in the action because it is, as well as this movie tells kind of this iterative story narratively. Yeah, you need to slow it down and take a break here.
They do the same thing in Age of Ultron at a farmhouse.
There's a lot of farmhouse, but that's the trope.
That's
going
the
to the
farmhouse is the trope.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles breaking the farmhouse. I don't think this is also a don't fall in love with me, I'm not good enough for you trope, because I don't think they're falling in love at all. Like, I don't read this, and we're going to talk about this later, is like, is this a romantic relationship?
I think he just cares about her.
I think in times of war, when your life is on the line every single day, and you're witnessing death all the time, everything's meaning changes. And I think developing a relationship with somebody, romantic or platonic, is different. And I feel like he at least has some solace and some attachment to this person who has been fighting with him this entire time. And for him, it's probably been like a year by now. She is literally all he has. No friends, no family.
Yeah. No rank.
Nothing. Yeah. No phone call.
No phone call.
By the way, that only worked because they denied him his phone call. Otherwise, I'm sure he could have been like, this is illegal. Not to go back on to that. But so I really just see him as him trying to prevent her from dying again. Because although it doesn't hurt her and it doesn't really mean she's dead, it's probably painful to watch.
Yeah. Especially since this is somebody that you are getting to know. Like, yeah, he's pushing a little bit. He wants to know more about her.
But I think it's because I don't see it romantically. I think he's just like in need of a friend. Like, again, this is another, he needs a break. It's been another series of events. He's probably reiterated 100 more times.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to stop and just like, can we just sit and talk to each other for a minute? And she's like,
no.
It's day 2 for her. So she doesn't feel the same level of exhaustion as he does.
Mm-hmm.
And he has no one else to talk to. Whereas she has a ton of people who love her. Right?
Probably.
Like, yeah, she has a platoon of people that fucking follow her around, and she's got the scientists and whatever. All I'm saying is, like, I feel like this is him trying to take another break and just try to talk and get to know someone. It's like, you know, it's like when you're at your 7th or 8th hour in your job, you're like, God damn it, like, so what do you do for fun? Oh, you over there, like, talk to me for a minute, you know?
I don't get that luxury at work.
Oh my God. The next day, instead of involving Rita at all, Cage decides to go alone. He gets to the helicopter, all the way to Germany and into the bunker, where he encounters an Alpha. Cage tries shooting himself in the head, but the Alpha stops him. He escapes, hides, and drowns anyway.
What a painful way to go.
I know, that's probably the worst of all his deaths. The Omega was never there, and the visions were a trap to lure him there and take his blood back. The scientist responds that he had made a device to hack an Alpha and locate the Omega, but the prototype is kept in the British Ministry of Defense. Their new objective is to infiltrate it.
So, all right. The device he's talking about, is that the same device that Rita was holding earlier?
Earlier, she was like, let's just fucking do this. And he's like,
listen,
no.
And then he goes, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Was that just like another version of it?
I think it's the same one.
But how would it have gotten to the British Ministry of Defense?
Oh, that's a good question, actually.
I'm thinking he was trying to make like a copy.
I think he's trying to make another one.
Yeah.
But the only one that he couldn't make.
Because she's about to stab him. He's like, what the hell is that? Yeah. The scientist is like, that doesn't work.
Most apocalyptic movies, you should listen to the scientists. They're usually right.
Yeah. Like, first off, in any post-apocalyptic anything, or even like just current apocalyptic anything, in movies or fiction in general, the military always has the wrong response to everything. Like, that in itself has become like a trope.
The military is always wrong and the scientists are always right in every movie.
Yeah. Yeah, because the military guy is always like, I want to blow it up.
Nuke it. Fucking nuke it.
Have you seen Godzilla?
Like, yeah. Independence Day.
Independence Day.
Day After Tomorrow. They're all the same.
Avengers. That was the military. That was the World Security Council, but fucked up.
Here's the other thing, too. Like, if she, if he goes on alone and he doesn't talk to her, she still dies on the beach. Like, she's going to die no matter what. But I guess he's not involved. He doesn't see it.
Yeah.
And I guess he's okay with that. And I mean, also, like, he could explore all kinds of different possibilities without her involved.
Maybe he just accepted that fate was not in their hands.
Rita and Cage infiltrate the ministry after he's learned every step of every soldier. They find the general and explain everything. The general gives him the device after being mostly convinced of their story. While escaping from the guards and police, Cage sticks the device into his leg. Actually, Rita does that. Rita sticks the device into his leg, and he sees real visions of the Omega's location. It's buried under the Louvre. Their escape car crashes, and Cage wakes up in a medical ward after being given a blood transfusion.
And the stakes are instantly raised.
Oh my God, are they ever. This was such a smart move for this movie. Because just when you're getting comfortable with this, going like, okay, he can infiltrate it, like this building. He knows the step of every person because he's done this like 50 times, 100 times or whatever. I like when he tells
her to not shoot the general again. He's like, no, don't shoot him again.
That was great. You as the viewer are like, okay, cool. He can do anything. This is an amazing superpower. Like, it's not an amazing superpower for him because it's very repetitive and boring and monotonous. It's an amazing superpower for the story because he can succeed at everything, basically.
Yeah.
Because he can redo it over and over and over and over again. And then just when you get comfortable with that notion, it's taken from him.
Yep.
It's such a smart transition into a third act because he has to go into this new battlefield next. And he has no idea what's in store for them.
No, and he's in danger from like not just the mimics from the military too. Now.
Oh, yeah.
So it becomes kind of like a thriller at this point.
Oh, yeah. Also, why would the Omega bury itself under the world's most recognizable museum?
It was flooded. Nobody was using it.
He should just like go out into a field like where no one will ever find you. Having lost his power, he and Rita become more careful and recruit the J Squad. They hijack a dropship and reestablish the rules of the universe to both the squad and the audience. Do not kill an alpha, or else a day is reset and they lose. Over a post-apocalyptic Paris, they're shot down. The remaining squad members decide to sacrifice themselves to create a diversion. They pilot a grounded dropship to skirt along the flooded city like an airboat and barely make it to the Louvre's glass pyramid entrance. Rita and Cage make it down to the basement levels of the Louvre as they are stalked by an alpha. Rita plans on distracting it so Cage may kill the Omega. Recognizing it's a suicide mission, she kisses Cage and says goodbye, wishing she had gotten to know him outside of the war. Cage swims down to the Omega, but is stabbed as soon as he drops a belt full of grenades. The Omega explodes and its blood engulfs Cage.
I like how when he originally drops the grenades, the alpha's just like, all right, so? And then he shows that he was holding the pins. Like he pulled all the pins.
That was fun. That's a trope, but I like that trope. So to start my issues here, the Louvre, it's 119 miles from the coast of France. How is it flooded? There's a river.
All of France is flooded.
That's a good question. I mean, Paris is on a river, the scene. Who knows if there's a dam somewhere. Like I wouldn't overthink it. It's also not that flooded. It's like it's like a few feet.
They
were walking in it.
Yeah, but the entire almost the entire Louvre is underwater though.
The Louvre is partially underground.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Like
there's several levels underground.
It looked flooded in the sense of like the whole thing looked like marshland though. Like a lot of it was like maybe like knee deep water across all of Paris. Yeah. I mean, it could also be a result of the alien attack.
Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't overthink it.
The helicarrier crashes through the Arc de Triomphe. And Tom Cruise should definitely be dead.
There's a lot of times where a lot of characters should be dead, first of all.
I like how, and after that, he just looks at Rita and is like, we've been through worse.
But Tasky doesn't bring her sword, despite melee weapons seeming to be very effective against.
Did she not bring her sword?
I don't think she had. Well, the thing is...
Oh, she had it to begin with.
Here's the thing. She may have had it. But by the time that they land in Paris, they specifically say what weapons they have left. And it's like half a magazine of this, a little bit of that. They have one working mech suit, and that's it.
This is the same timeline where they got captured, too. And like they were in captivity for a little bit. That's when he got the blood transfusion.
Yeah, but we're already in Paris, though.
I know, but this is the same time.
It's the same
I don't know if she
timeline,
ever got her sword back.
Well, here's the thing. That was on day one. They did because they don't have to waste time and wait for day two anymore. So that's on day one.
Right. Then they left early.
They left earlier. That's why the whole J Squad's still alive.
Yeah, because we see Bill Paxton looking for J Squad.
Yeah. So this is happening the night of day one before the invasion.
Okay.
On the beach.
Yeah, they're attacking early. They're attacking the mimics before D-Day.
D-Day. Yeah. Thanks. I knew I had to talk about something into the kiss.
Well, I don't think she kissed him because she was emotionally attached either, though. It didn't seem romantic. It seemed like a...
Yes. I saw a lot on this kiss when I was looking into this movie a little bit, and people are kind of mixed on it.
Okay. Well, I saw it as like she knows exactly what he's going through right now, so she's just kind of throwing him a bone.
Again, she's known him for one day in this timeline.
But she also understands the whole everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So she's aware of certain things.
It's also, she knows she's going on a suicide mission.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to die right now. So
like, we're both going to die.
Why not kiss?
Yeah, that's kind of what I see, especially
Why
like,
not?
And they're both in this situation. I didn't think it was romantic at all. I don't think any of this movie's romantic. I think he's developed a fondness for her that is also maybe not romantic. It's just kind of like, we're partners. We've gotten close. Mm-hmm. And Sure, kiss me. Who cares? Like none of it matters anymore. You know,
Nothing matters. We're all dead.
Out of most movies where like they would inject a romantic subplot into a movie like this, and I'm like, that seems unbelievable. I don't see characters like this in times of like war falling in love. Like that's just not happening.
It's just endearment, if anything.
Yeah, like war and death and destruction. Those are cock blocks. Like no one's developing feelings in those environments. You know what I mean? Maybe afterwards because of shared traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Like way after. But right now, no, they're not. And so I just read this as like, this felt more...
They're comforting one.
Yeah. This felt more legitimate to me because I didn't buy that they were falling for each other in the slightest. It reminds me of Rogue One, where at the end, and I was like, Rogue One, I was like, please don't kiss. When they're about to die.
Oh, yeah.
They don't. They just kind of embrace each other. They kind of hold hands and they're like, all right, here we go.
Die.
And then they die. So... yeah, look, it's not a big deal. Let her kiss him. And it felt like this was a compromise. Like, it's on the list of things they have to do. Attractive leads, they have to kiss.
We'll figure out how to make that work.
So, sure, give them that. But at the same time, like, it's a little bit of comfort. It's a little bit of, again, like, throw him a bone. Like, he's probably more in love with you than you are with him.
Yeah.
But even then.
Philly said something earlier, and then our Streamlabs bot went nuts.
Yeah. Finally, if an alpha bleeding on you resets the day, why not just force one to bleed on you? Clearly,
they did mention that the alphas were like 1 in like 40,000.
Yeah, the alphas are very, very rare. You know, they're your chess pieces that you don't send in until after the pawns are in either. So there's only 2 alphas in this movie, I think. One by reputation. It's the one that Emily Blunt kills. Then there's the one that Tom Cruise kills. We see that one. And then there's the one specifically at the dam who's specifically there to kill Tom Cruise and get the blood back.
That might be the one we see again at the Louvre.
Oh, yeah.
They're like the queen.
Yeah.
You use it to defend your king, really, and that's it. You can get a little aggressive with it, but if you get too aggressive, you know, you lose your queen and then Tom Cruise gets superpowers.
That's the worst ending to a game of chess. Tom Cruise gets superpowers. Cage wakes up a day prior than he usually would when he first arrived in London, except this time, the explosion in Paris already happened and the mimics have stopped fighting. The entire J Squad is still alive and training, and as a major, William Cage, he visits Rita, who is still confused about his arrival. And that's kind of the movie.
So, I was trying to figure out what this means.
The ending doesn't really make any sense. For a few reasons.
Why did it reset to a day before?
Yeah.
Is that like when the alpha put itself there? Or maybe it's something that would have been answered in the sequel that we never got?
So if you think about the timeline, if you think like day 1 is the day he's always being reset in, day 0 would be when the movie starts.
Yeah.
Right? That day happens. At the end of the day, he gets arrested. Day 1 is when he wakes up at the barracks. That's where he starts every single day. The beginning of day 2 is when they storm the beach at 0600. They start early in the morning, right?
Mm.
And that's as far as he ever gets, right? Like I said, at one point, there's some implication that like he makes it one more day when he flies a helicopter sometimes. I'd buy that. But basically, by the time he kills the Omega, it is the end of day 1, right? It is the night before they would have stormed the beach in Normandy, we established.
Right.
When he kills the Omega, it's reset not to the same day, but one day prior, but the explosion in Paris had already happened.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense.
Well, if it's a creature that like lives through like time and stuff, the explosion happening, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is...
But did Tom Cruise do it? Because now he has Omega powers.
Maybe he's the Omega now.
This movie has made Tom Cruise the
He's
Alpha
God now.
And the Omega.
And he started the movie off as a beta.
Beta cuck piece of shit. Oh, God. I get the feeling it's deliberately happy, this ending. You know? Like,
yeah.
I get the feeling the original ending would have looked different, and then they're like, nah, it's got to be different. Let's tack on something different.
I'm wondering if there are any theories on this ending, or if there's any good explanation on it, or if the director has said anything. on it.
I couldn't find anything, if I'm honest. It left me with more questions than answers, and that's never a good thing, I think.
No. But in the very last frame of the movie, he does his little Tom Cruise laugh. Where he's like...
Part of me was worried that like Emily Blunt would recognize him, and now I'd be like, all right, now this defies
Now I'm
all
confused.
logic. Yeah, she doesn't, but he does kind of smile back at her.
He remembers.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, because he just did all that.
He remembers everything.
He's
But now
God
he has
now.
like godlike powers, right?
Or does he?
I don't know. I don't think he's gonna test it. I don't think he's gonna kill himself or anything.
No, that'd be stupid.
Ending would probably make more sense if there was a sequel. Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like there might have been some sequel bait here. Although, by the looks of it, I don't know what a sequel would really be.
I mean, maybe there wasn't only one Omega.
That could be too. Yeah. It could be multiple.
Yeah.
In different, like, fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to the analysis portion of this. We usually break this down into categories, and let's start with story. There was going to be a sequel, and we talked about this at the top of the show. There was already a script written and everything. Doug Liman was very proud of it. It was rewritten a couple times again. And it was going to be titled, I didn't share this tidbit earlier, Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat.
Whoa.
Which is a way worse title than anything.
And repeat?
Yeah, that's
Whoa.
literally the title. Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat.
What would be repeating? I want to see the script.
Because the script is repeating?
I want to know what happens next. Listen, as terrible as the title was and how nonsense the ending was and the beginning was, I want to know more about this world, though.
I feel like Edge of Tomorrow 2 would have made more sense than Live, Die, Repeat,
Edge
and
of Tomorrow
Repeat.
2 sounds lame, though.
Also, Edge of Tomorrow
Edge of Yesterday.
is still the fucking title when you pop the movie.
The Edge of Yesterday.
It didn't really get retitled, is all
Tomorrow
I'm
never comes.
saying. Tomorrow.
That sounds like a James Bond movie.
Edge.
Tomorrow never lies.
He wanted this movie to be called Live, Die, Repeat. So when they eventually sort of changed it for the DVD release, I guess it kind of became somewhat official
That would have
in his
confused
mind.
people.
It would have confused people even more to then in the sequel call it Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. Also, it's a horrible title. One ticket for Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, please.
Okay.
No, dude.
What? Didn't that movie come out already?
It's called Edge of Yesterday or something. Story-wise, the worst parts of this movie are at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, just like the worst part of a sandwich is the bread.
The best part of the sandwich is the bread. What
Depends
are you
on
talking
the
about?
bread that you use.
The bread is the reason for the sandwich.
Eh.
If you have just the filling without the bread, it's boring. It's not good.
It's a bowl.
Not good. Good bread makes a sandwich. Moving on. I think this is a really tight story that really works very well.
It does, and it clocks in at just under 2 hours, like an hour 50-something minutes.
Yeah. And maybe there's no other better way to start the story or end the story, but getting into it and then exiting the story is very messy, I think.
I'm glad that it does get into it quickly, though, because...
And that's fine.
then
but
you don't have to worry about it.
Again, for me to believe the concept of stranding this guy a bunch of, in the military for him to inevitably die, and in this movie he dies hundreds of times, which is a fate worse than any single death, right? That's some hell shit right there.
He dies repeatedly, he's stuck in a loop of death.
Death and despair. It's like Sisyphus.
Yep.
What was I saying? What was I saying before we talked about Sisyphus?
The loop?
The beginning. I need a reason why he would be in that scenario. I think this movie would have benefited from establishing his character as being a piece of shit. And
like he used to be.
He used to be a total piece of shit. But people can change. Establish him as being horrible for whatever reason. Give the general reason to want to bury this man where no one will ever find him again. Maybe they are at odds with each other for some reason. Maybe the general is actually super bad, and maybe he has dirt on him, and he's like, well, I'm going to bury you here. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to get your phone call. I don't know. It needed something better than just like, I don't know, fuck it. I guess I don't like you, and you're going to war now.
Something that made a little bit more sense.
Because the beginning is a big question mark, and it did kind of take me out of the movie. And then the finale, like the ending is like, cool, so we're all cool now? Like, what happened here?
When he looks at Emily Blunt, though, at the end, he gets a little tear in his eyes because he's so happy.
And that's cute. He doesn't have to see her die anymore. And again, even if it isn't romantic, if it's platonic, it's like, whether or not she knows who he is. She's his best friend now.
Yeah. She's the only friend he's got.
Yeah.
And J Squad. He was happy to see J Squad.
I think he's happy that they're not dead. I don't know if he likes them.
You better watch your back out there, because no one else will. Jinx, bitch.
I like random, but I like that he started finding success with the line, "What I'm about to tell you won't make any sense, but the longer I talk, the more sense it'll make."
Yeah.
Like, that's clearly what has sold people.
That's what worked.
And it's fun because he's a PR guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's his pitch.
The more I say, the more you're going to realize.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's like hypnotizing him.
A little bit. Philly thinks he found an explanation for the ending.
Oh.
I've seen some things online, so I'm interested in what you've...
Yeah.
But again, you shouldn't have to, like, look up what did this movie... You should understand the movie when you walk out.
Yeah, but some people like that.
I don't know.
Like, people will be like, oh, man, Inception.
Yeah, but
is he still dreaming? We don't fucking know.
That's a little tease. Like, it's not like... Even
Nolan,
even he's admitted, like, it's not supposed to be that ambiguous.
I was just teasing you guys.
Yeah.
But is he awake or not?
Answer the goddamn question. Waiting for that explanation before we move on.
After he blows up the Omega, he gets the Alpha's blood in him and he resets. But because he doesn't go into a new day, he goes into the day before, which is where he would have been on the helicopter going to see the general.
But because he doesn't go into a new day, he goes into the day before.
But why doesn't he go into a new day? Like, why wouldn't he have just woken up on the helicarrier again, or the base?
Well, I get it from a narrative perspective, because if he did go back any time, then it wouldn't make sense that the future has already happened. Like,
right. Oh, yeah.
The only way this would make sense if he were to wake up in the future. However, everybody's dead. And that's a downer.
It kind of is.
So,
literally, everybody's dead. Like, at that point, it wouldn't even make sense for him to be alive anymore.
It would make sense for him to be alive.
I guess if the blood got on him. Yeah.
But
maybe he himself decided to go back to that time, like, subconsciously. Because he has the power now and he's sort of in control of it.
Okay, so here's the only way I see it. Given the Omega's powers, he has more time travel ability that he can control, and he goes back, does it all over again, succeeds in the perfect way, and that's the one we got.
Whoa.
You know?
Like, he went and blew it up before he was even...
Right. Like, he went back a day earlier, went straight to the Louvre, knew exactly what to do, knew exactly where to go, did it faster, and therefore it blew up by the next morning before anyone else could die. That makes sense.
That's totally possible within the context of this movie.
I think that makes the most sense. I think I solved it. But the movie, again, it's not clear. I'm making this up.
Does he still have Omega powers?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. But if he dies, well, here's the thing. If he dies, then they're back in war.
What if he
lives? Do it again.
What if he lives his whole life, dies of old age, and then wakes up again at war? Why do I feel like I've seen something where somebody lived like their entire life and then like the loop reset?
Captain America?
No, that's not a time loop. Oh, wait.
Well, he goes in a time loop.
He does, but no.
Philly's saying apparently he dies before the Omega, so he resets, but the Omega doesn't. Therefore, he no longer has the power. And as an exact quote, Cage is fated to live and die with no repeat, just like the rest of us. But he's alive by the end of the movie. I'm confused. What do you mean?
I'm confused, too. Edge of confusion.
Edge of confusion, man. I don't know. I like mine. He just went back a day earlier, killed the Omega, and then solved everything. It's just off screen.
Because we don't need to see the finale twice.
I think, okay, but it would have been a little bit better if you saw him go back. He knows exactly, even like if it's really quick, he knows exactly what to do, saves the day, fixes everything.
Yeah, that would have been a little anticlimactic.
I don't think so. It would have been like, I feel like there's a movie that did that.
See, I keep thinking there's a movie that like did some of this stuff, but then I can't think of what did it.
Same. I'm like, there's a movie that's done this.
And like, but is there? Or is this the movie that did it?
There's a movie that's done this.
I know what I was thinking, where somebody like lived a bunch of time and then woke up at the beginning of the loop again. That was an episode of Supernatural.
Oh, God. Anyway, let's move on. Everything else in the story, I think, works very well. I think this movie does a very good job of telling a cohesive, regular story within this kind of framework of like, you have to go back and do it again and do it again and do it again.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's kind of like the plot still makes sense outside of that iterative process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still kind of like there's an act 1 where he learns, and act 2 where, you know, meets the character and they're going to get to know each other. And then in act 3 where they realize they're at odds and they have to go separate and all this stuff. Like, it's still kind of like the familiar and yet kind of welcome regular story stuff within this kind of mechanics, you know?
Yeah.
All right, do you have any story notes?
I enjoy the story a lot. I think
Characters
as well. This movie does a good job at like not having all the side characters just be literally side characters. You know, everybody has like something to do.
Well, there's a lot of side characters.
There's a lot of side characters, but they all play like a role in this.
Yeah.
Even Bill Paxton.
Well, he's the best one.
The thing is, he probably had the least to do.
But yeah, but he's kind of the best character.
So I liked all the characters overall. Story, you know, minus the ridiculous shit at the beginning and like the confusing part at the end. I think the story is overall solid. Like, it's a good time loop story. It's not.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. None of the stuff about the time loop or aliens or anything like that, none of that feels ridiculous. All of that is done very well. It's the like getting Cage to the military base that was ridiculous. It really is
just the beginning and the end. I think that's what really kind of
puts a little
bums
bit of
me out. Yeah. I think the movie is solid other than that.
But I think like as an action movie, this is fantastic.
Yeah, the action's incredible. I read complaints about the ending because it's too dark, and I'm like, okay, it's a different setting. Like, the whole beginning is very bright. Yeah. What do you want? You know,
it takes place at night. Like,
it's just a different. It's there to be. Yeah, it's supposed to be bleaker because the stakes are higher. Death means something at the end.
It sets the tone very well.
Yeah, and and it matches the setting. Like, it's dark and bleak, and their situation is dark and bleak because they could actually die this time.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes me into cinematography. But actually, I do want to talk about the characters. I think you had mentioned that this is like this is the best role for Tom Cruise because he's kind of a bozo. He's an idiot. Like, he's not good.
Yeah.
At stuff. Like, usually he's like the best.
Yeah. So it's like, it's good to see him like at first be like really terrible at everything.
Yeah. Yeah. He dies so much, and he's so fucking pathetic at the beginning when he can't figure out the jacket.
Can't figure out the jacket. He's so scared.
Yeah.
And he sells it really well. Like, Tom Cruise is a good actor.
He's a good actor. We'll get to him. But yeah, carries over to the cinematography. Oh no, one more thing. Sorry, Emily Blunt's character.
Rita
Vitrasky.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I really love her in this. I think she's incredible.
And I think prior to this, Emily Blunt mostly did comedies.
I don't know too much about her career, and we should have done her for Keep or Cancel, actually, but I think she's less interesting. I think it's an easy, like, oh yeah, keep, whatever.
She's cheaper, she's great. She's married to John Krasinski.
She's married to John Krasinski, yeah.
He's great.
Then they're great actors and creatives.
Yes.
All around.
And seem like very nice people.
Keep, easy, move on. I love her in this role as, like, the fucking badass.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about the gender roles that are swapped because she is the knowledgeable one. She's the badass.
She's teaching
him.
She's
the mentor.
Yeah.
And he's the mentee. He's the idiot. However, I've seen it both ways where some people are like, yeah, but he's the hero. She's kind of this archetype.
She grooms him into becoming the hero.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's different kinds of stories for different kinds of stories, I guess. I don't know what you want me to say, but I really appreciate how badass they make her. Again, Full Metal bitch.
Oh, and during the montage where she keeps killing him, he keeps looking at like that.
Yeah. And we talked about the kiss at the end and what exactly does it mean for the story? Is it kind of producers going like, no, the two attractive leads need to kiss. They need to be romantically involved. Or is it just kind of like this moment of desperation, whatever, like we're going to die. Let's just fucking kiss, even though we barely know each other. At least she doesn't know him. He knows her very well.
Yeah.
I did like, and I didn't mention this, I did like the bit where she purposefully makes up details about her life to him. So when he repeats them back to her, she's like, because she hasn't made him up yet, she's like, that's bullshit.
She's like, that's not true.
Until when she's on her fucking deathbed, basically, she's like, this is my actual middle name. I think that works very well because she can't, logically speaking, get close to him because she has never known him for more than a few hours.
Right.
So in that moment, it wouldn't make sense for her to be like, you know what, actually you're growing on to me, right?
Yeah, he can't be because she hasn't known him long enough.
Exactly. Whereas she's very much grown on to him. So it makes sense for the movie to be like, well, she's dying, therefore she has reached that point where she's like,
okay, I'll tell you something.
Yeah, here's who I am, you know? And he has all these little bits and pieces to kind of put together his little profile for her of like, you know, who is this person that I'm like been working with for years, even though I don't know anything about them.
Yeah. Time loops are crazy.
It's crazy. It's depressing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, cinematography. This movie is I think is shot very well. I like the bits that are in very well lit environments.
Yeah.
It serves kind of a contrast to a lot of like action movies. It's nice when you just like you can see everything, you know?
The beach scene is great. All the stuff on the military base is great too.
Yeah. It's funny. That's Heathrow Airport. They're like, fuck it, military base now.
Yeah.
What do you think about the action in this movie? We talked about it, but
it's very good. Very, it feels very brutal and kind of like raw and clumsy. It doesn't feel like super choreographed in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously choreographed, but yeah, exactly. Right. But I mean, there's something to be said where like it doesn't feel that way, right?
Right.
Director Doug Lineman has made movies such as Swingers Go, The Bourne Identity. That makes a lot of sense right there. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, this movie.
Jumper, really?
American Made. Jumper's a horrible movie, if I remember correctly. I remember
it is.
God awful.
It has like a cool concept, but it's just not good.
No, it's bad. That's one of those movies that info dumps at the beginning. It tells you like, hey, there's a secret society, and there's this other secret society of jumpers, and they hate each other, and try to remember all this, and here we go.
Aren't one of them called like paladins, and the other are jumpers? And they're like, paladins hate jumpers. Jumpers run from paladins.
That's all you need.
That's it.
But Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, those are both great action movies.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a silly movie, but part of the reason I think that movie works is because it's a very silly concept, and then amazing action throughout.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like a good movie, but it is fun to watch.
Well, it's a great action movie. Like, that's the highlight of that film. And then, obviously, Bourne Identity, that kind of close-up fights, visceral. Raw, yeah.
The first 3, I'd say, are good.
I've never seen the fourth one.
Is the fourth one the one that Matt Damon's not even in?
Yeah. It's
but then
Hawkeye.
Then he comes back in a 5th one.
Yeah.
Because I remember the line from the trailer became a meme where the guy's like, oh my God, it's Jason Bourne.
The first 3 are good, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like the original trilogy. Those are good, like, action, spy, thriller type movies.
Mm-hmm. Usually we would talk about costumes, but there's no costumes, and there's mech suits.
The mech suits look good.
Mech suits are amazing. I question why she would use a sword instead of a gun, but...
Because it's based off of a Japanese story?
That's it. That's what it is. Yeah, 100%. And it is cool. Not sure how much power... First of all, it looks heavy as shit. And how she's swinging
it looks like a helicopter rotor.
Yeah, it looks like fucking Thanos' sword. Cut in half.
It kind of does.
Yeah. I question how much strength she has to swing that giant piece of metal against like
she's got the exosuit helping her.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I was like, she's fucking swinging those big ass aliens and it's working.
The suit makes you stronger.
That's true. She got the suit. I'm an idiot.
Music didn't really do too much for me in this movie.
I don't even remember there being any, so I'm not even gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I remember like bits, but it was very like it was just there.
Yeah.
Nothing bad about it. Nothing good to say about it either.
I mentioned the potential sequel. I think that's kind of we and this is typical of us. We talk a lot about these concepts as the plot goes on.
Right.
That's where the juice of it is. But yeah, I think overall this works really well story-wise. All levels of production, action, acting. I think all the actors are super solid. Especially Bill Paxton in that tiny role. But definitely Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise.
Yes. And I don't even like Tom Cruise.
Here's the thing. He's a good actor.
He's a good actor, but I don't like him.
That's fair. Let's move on because we have to talk about Tom Cruise.
Yes, we do, because there's a lot to speak on.
So this is Keep or Cancel, segment of the show where we talk about the actors or other people in this movie, and we decide, do we keep him or we cancel him? It's a play on cancel culture. Tom Cruise. This is one of the biggest names that we could ever touch.
Yeah.
Right? Up until recently, he wasn't even on our list. And I was like, oh, damn, like we're never going to be able to cancel Tom Cruise. And then we decided to add these two movies in. So we're going to do a two-parter, Keep or Cancel, on Tom Cruise this week and next week. This week, we're going to focus on Tom Cruise, the actor. Actor?
Not the person.
Not Tom Cruise, the person. So we're going to try to separate, compartmentalize, talk about Tom Cruise's performances and his work as a producer. And then next week, we'll talk about how tall he is, where his teeth are, what his religious beliefs are.
So basically right now we're talking about his art. And
is he in a cult?
next week we'll be talking about the artist.
And is he a dangerous person and figurehead within this cult that has possibly and allegedly killed people? Let's find out next week, shall we? But yeah, let's talk about him as an actor because I think he's a fascinating actor. Risky Business. Yeah, and this is selective filmography because there's a lot of movies.
That one's kind of iconic, though. You got
that's
like
his big one.
him like sliding into frame and
yeah. So you've seen Risky Business?
I've seen bits of it. I can't
sort
say
of
I've
a
seen
classic.
the whole movie.
High school kid goes nuts, like in his college years or whatever.
Yeah,
No, I haven't seen it either. Top Gun.
I've seen that.
I saw it recently.
It's fine.
Here's the thing about Top Gun. The action is perfect. Like everything when they're on a plane, all that shit is perfect. It was revolutionary to put all that stuff on camera.
Everything with the characters is not so good.
Everything else sucks. I think all the character stuff is bad and it's weird. There's a very weird love plot in that.
Is it when he like jogs from the beach to like her house or whatever and they fuck?
He rides it on a motorcycle and then like it turns into a music video. And they fuck to some song I don't remember. And there's like hanging sheets.
I thought she didn't even like
around
him.
them. No, she didn't.
It's like fucking Roxanne and Nick Cage.
He walks in on her in the women's bathroom and he says a bunch of shit to her early in the movie and she's like, get the fuck out of this bathroom.
And then they fuck.
And then they fuck.
And then she's like,
weird.
am I pretty?
Cocktail. That's the one where he's the bartender. He's throwing all the...
Oh, he's doing the Tom Holland thing from Uncharted.
Tom Holland throws the bottles in the air?
He does some bartending shit.
Oh, okay. The Color of Money. Rain Man. It's the one with Dustin Hoffman.
That one's classic.
Born on the 4th of July.
Haven't seen that.
Days of Thunder. That's the NASCAR one.
Haven't seen that.
Okay. A Few Good Men.
Haven't seen that. I was thinking of All the President's Men. That's a different movie.
It's a different thing. I've only seen, out of all of those, I think like a chunk of Rain Man. I think A Few Good Men is, a lot of these are memeable, which is hilarious. Yeah, A Few Good Men is the movie based on Aaron Sorkin's play. That's the one with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson where he yells, "You can't handle the truth."
Oh, in the fucking courtroom.
The courtroom, yeah, because they're like, it's about a court martial.
Yep.
It's apparently really good. And I haven't seen it, but I've seen...
the truth? You can't handle the truth.
I've seen that scene a bunch of times. Interview with a Vampire. I've seen this movie a couple
I've seen
times.
that. That's good.
It's a good movie. It's Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, and they're both sexy vampires.
Yeah.
And
Based on a book.
Yeah, and then what's-her-face is in it, too. It's a little
Mary
girl.
Jane Watson.
Yeah, she's a little girl vampire.
Kirsten Dunst.
Mission Impossible.
I have seen the newest one, and that's it.
God.
Is that weird?
Damn it. Yeah, it's weird. You got to start with one. Here's how you do Mission Impossible. You start with one, which is my favorite one, by the way. And I know they get better, but in my opinion,
I heard
one is my favorite.
2 was really bad. Was it 2 that was really bad or 3?
You don't watch 2.
2's bad.
Skip 2.
I saw the one with Superman in it, where he shotgun cocks his
Oh,
fist,
hell
and
yeah.
he grows facial hair when he does it.
I think that's just the gif.
No, that was in the trailer. I don't know if it was in the movie, but it was in the trailer.
Like it's a lighting
He
thing.
goes like that, and then facial hair appears on his face.
But I think it's just because he walked out of like a light into a shadow.
It looks like it was just shot on 2 different times, and they used 2 takes.
That'd be funny.
It is funny.
That's
though.
a great little shot. Yeah.
And Superman gets that real bad upper lip. Yeah, thanks to Mission Impossible, which
Oh,
came
yeah.
out years later. That came out a few years after Justice League, right?
No, it came
Was it
out
like
like a
two-
year after.
I thought it was like 2 years
They were
after.
filming it. Again, you got to remember they were filming it at the same time as they were filming. They wanted to do reshoots for Justice League.
Oh,
So it would have been a little bit further behind.
okay. It's like WB like sabotaged themselves.
I mean, maybe a little. Again, WB offered to pay for the CGI to put his mustache back on. And
they're like, no.
Paramount, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, between them and fucking WB, they'd be like, nope. Get all the lawyers involved.
Over Henry Cavill's facial hair.
Anyway, Mission Impossible, that first one, great fucking movie. It's my favorite Mission Impossible. Again, you skip 2. 2's non-canon. Do 1.
Is it actually non-canon? Or are you just saying that?
I'm just saying that, but it is so...
If it's canon, I need to know what happens.
Well, the events of 2 are never referenced, and it is totally such a different kind of movie that when you watch them in context with all the other ones, it just doesn't make any sense why that movie needs to exist.
So kind of like Tokyo Drift, except Tokyo Drift was good.
Yeah, it's a bad example.
But it doesn't fall in line with the other movies because it's good.
Okay, sure. I thought you liked Fast and Furious.
I do, but I don't. It's complicated.
It's complicated. He's here, but he's not here.
I love them, but I hate them.
Okay. Mission Impossible, skip 2 is all I'm saying. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, all great. The reason 1 is my favorite is because it's more espionage-y and less action-y.
Okay.
It's more about finding the mole, the hidden agent in their secret CIA group that sold them out and got them all killed. That's the whole plot of that first movie. It's very spy thriller.
Okay.
And there's really only like one big action set piece at the end. Not including the hanging from the cable thing. Have you seen that?
I've seen that.
So he doesn't touch the floor.
Because of the lasers and stuff.
Amazing. It's a pressure sensitive floor.
Pressure
And
sensitive.
it ages really well, that movie, because the technology is like believable for 95. You know, it's not like they had like holograms or anything.
It's not like the old James Bond movies where they're like,
Yeah.
like, oh, I have a watch that can do everything.
I have a pen that if you click it 3 times, it'll explode. Actually, never mind. There's exploding gum in that movie. But it doesn't explode that much.
Oh, no.
The whole point of that gum is like, it explodes a little bit. It's like a spark. Put it on something that will like really explode.
Oh,
Put
so
it on
like,
a gas tank.
I think that's in Spy Kids.
In what way?
Literally, there's chewing gum that like sparks in Spy Kids when they spit it on people.
Well, that might be a Mission Impossible reference then.
Spy Kids movies are good. Well, the first 2 are good.
Okay.
Third one's questionable, and the fourth one is non-canon.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So, how the turntables. Jerry Maguire.
Another classic.
The classic. He's the, he's like a sports agent, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. You had me at hello. Just Magnolia. Have you ever seen Magnolia?
No.
Fantastic film. Blew my mind when I watched this. I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah, 99 by Paul Thomas Anderson. Look, I'll be honest, I don't really remember what it's about. Tom Cruise has an incredible role in this movie. This got him a Best Supporting Actor Academy Award nomination.
That's good.
He has this whole monologue in it. It's really good. It's the first time I had ever seen Tom Cruise like really act a dramatic role.
And you loved it.
Not just like an action role like all of these.
Right.
Mission Impossible 2.
Non-canon?
It's a very straightforward John Woo action movie.
Oh, well, that's good.
That
could also be bad.
It's kind of bad. It loses all the fun espionage elements of the first movie and just kind of becomes a caper. You know, I don't like it. Tom Cruise has weird long hair in it also.
Interesting.
and there's got the exploding glass. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, Vanilla Sky. Have you seen Vanilla Sky?
I've heard of it. I could also be thinking about October Sky with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Vanilla Sky is like he's in some sort of simulation or something.
Yeah, I haven't seen
I've
it.
seen the movie, by the way. I just don't remember a goddamn thing about it. Wildly considered just the worst movie.
Oh, cool.
It's bad.
I thought Waterworld was like the worst movie.
Yeah, I mean, Vanilla Sky. I mean, it's on those kinds of lists,
Okay.
you know? Minority Report.
That movie's great.
That movie's fantastic.
I saw it as a kid. That might actually be the first Tom Cruise movie I remember seeing.
Spielberg, right?
Yeah.
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 It's weird because Spielberg always does different genres.
Yeah.
And so you never see it's like you never see what's
This
what
was
he's
like a
coming with later.
hardcore sci-fi movie by Spielberg, and it was good.
It's a hardcore neo-noir.
Neo-noir sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's very good.
Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell. Also, who's the old guy in that movie? There's the one that was in Star Wars for a second.
Oh, Max von Sydow.
Yeah. Max von Sydow.
Sydow.
I think it's Sydow. Fucking amazing. It holds up despite that we are so much closer to that time era. It's set in 2050 and it's already kind of like future didn't go that way.
No.
But it still holds up. It's a great film.
It's a really cool concept of a movie too.
Yeah. Austin Powers in Goldmember.
That was the last one, right?
That's the third one, yeah. He plays himself playing Austin Powers.
That's fun.
Kind of his first foray in comedy.
Yeah, because he does Tropic Thunder a little bit later.
Fuck, I skipped Eyes Wide Shut.
That title doesn't make sense.
It's a very erotic movie he did with his wife at the time, Nicole Kidman. One of the last movies by Kubrick.
Oh, Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah, Eyes Wide Shut's like one of his last movies. The Last Samurai.
Oh, where he's the white guy and he's the last samurai.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
It's weird.
It's weird. Where did he learn how to become a samurai?
Well, you have to watch. Did you watch the movie?
When I was a kid.
It's not that bad. It's pretty good. The thing about Last Samurai is that it's a pretty good movie. It's just like the definition of white savior. Like,
it's literally what he is.
He goes off into Japan and becomes the best samurai. That's what happens in this movie.
Oh, it's like Iron Fist, but like worse.
Yeah.
And he's the last one.
And then they all die, and then he's the last one.
Because he's the best one.
Because he's the best one. Because he's the whitest of them all.
He's the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kunlun, sworn enemy of the hand.
Collateral. Have you ever seen Collateral?
No.
Great movie. Kind of a low-key action thriller. Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. Tom Cruise is an assassin. Also, he wears a white hair wig. Looks really weird.
I hate that.
No, but it looks good. It's just not the typical Tom Cruise look. I like that he looks different than most action movies. He shouldn't just be Tom Cruise all the time, you know? It's like The Rock. He looks the fucking same. He wears the same clothes in every movie. So it's nice to break it up. He's wearing a suit and like a salt and pepper wig. He plays an assassin and takes a cab to his assassination, and the cab driver is Jamie Foxx, who is now complicit in his assassinations.
Is this one of Jamie Foxx's first movies?
Near the beginning. No, because we did Keep Her Cancel on him. And we did, his early movies were a while back.
That's right.
It was like that Spike Lee movie.
I forgot he had been acting for quite a while.
Yeah. He's always dipped his toes in everything. But I don't think people noticed too much until he was doing like Ray and Collateral.
Yeah. I think Ray is what got people like real
Academy
interested.
Award, yeah. So now he's like taking this cabbie around to do more murders with him. But the action in that is really incredible. It's a great movie.
It sounds like the upcoming Michael Bay movie with the ambulance.
No, but it's better than that.
It's not out yet. We don't know.
War of the Worlds.
It was
the beloved remake of
the classic.
Okay.
It was okay.
People hate this movie.
It was fine.
It was bad. I thought it was bad. Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible 3 is kicked back into high gear. It goes back to, it's the J.J. Abrams, his first movie. I think has the best villain of all Mission Impossible movies, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, he's great. He was great.
Terrifying villain. Fucking incredible. Tropic Thunder.
He plays the agent.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Tropic Thunder, you need to, first of all.
Apparently that role was Tom Cruise's idea.
And I believe it. Like, the thing is, and where I want to get to it, but like, who is Tom Cruise? Because he seems to really understand movies, even though I don't think he has a sense of humor.
But like, it kind of seems like he does have a great sense of humor.
I don't think he does. I think he understands what works in movies. Like, I think he knows how to like say a joke, but he doesn't get the joke. You know, those people, psychopaths who are like, make eye contact, laugh at jokes, even if you don't get them.
Is this what being human is?
Yeah. He's not a human. He's a lizard person, okay?
If there were lizard people, He'd definitely be one of
God, we
them.
were talking about lizard people on Where's Mephisto?
Uh,
So Tropic Thunder. Also, he's in a fat suit, which is fucking hilarious.
yeah.
Tropic Thunder. Valkyrie. It's a Bryan Singer movie. Look, I
Blech.
watched half of it, and I was like, this movie's trying to be really, really smart,
And it's really, really not.
it's really annoying. Like, it's hard to follow, and it shouldn't be that hard to follow. And it's about the people that try to take down Hitler. Also, they all have they all speak English with American accents. I mean, I think they have German accents, but
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 4, that's the Brad Bird one, really good. Rock of Ages, it's like a rock star in that one, right?
Isn't that like a comedy, musical type deal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jack Reacher, which we sort of talked about earlier, kind of miscast because the character of Jack Reacher is supposed to be really big and brooding.
And he's not.
He's kind of small. Oblivion, which we're going to talk about next week. Edge of Tomorrow, which we just talked about today. Mission Impossible 5, which is a great one. Jack Reacher 2 has some other, I don't know.
Oh, he's in that beloved remake of The Mummy.
Yeah.
That everybody loved, and it kickstarted this whole cinematic universe. Wait.
Yeah. All those things. Have you seen The Mummy?
Yeah, it's like, it's not terrible, but like, it doesn't work. The Brendan Fraser one is way better.
I just can't see. I don't know. I can't see myself.
It's a remake of a remake.
The first remake, the Brendan Fraser one, that movie's
A lot
of fun.
of people don't know that's a remake, though.
Universal's always trying to reboot their Universal monsters. Always.
And they always do terrible.
They've been doing it for decades. This is not new.
They keep fucking it up, except for with The Mummy.
Van Helsing was pretty bad.
Van Helsing was pretty bad. What about The Invisible Man? Is that a Universal monster?
Yeah. No, that's a... I don't remember. No, yeah, that might be a Universal thing.
I think that was like classic literature, though, which a lot of Universal monsters are based off of.
Probably.
The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy, is a remake of... Is the original called The Curse of the Mummy?
I don't know. Yeah. It's from like the 40s.
Yeah. Yeah, I got no information on The Invisible Man. Whatever.
Yeah, so that was supposed to kickstart a whole universe. Didn't do any of that.
It was called like the Dark Universe, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
A dark universe.
Actually,
Dark Universe. Universal
Dracula
monsters.
Untold was supposed to kickstart that. Then
They said, fuck it, let's try again
when
with
that
the next one.
when that didn't do well, they're like, all right, The Mummy, this is going to be the start of our new universe. Nothing after that.
Well, they had a couple more movies planned. We haven't heard of anything from any of those movies.
I think they canceled all of them.
There was supposed to be like a Bride of Frankenstein movie.
Give us another good Frankenstein
Russell
movie.
Crowe is like Dr. Jekyll, right? He was Dr. Jekyll
he was
in The
Dr.
Mummy.
Jekyll. So obviously he would become Mr. Hyde also.
Yeah.
Dracula Untold is a fun movie, but it's not good. Like, the plot sucks.
They could have just kept making it. Just make more of the movies, you know?
And just, like, go forward with that universe. It doesn't have to be the MCU. It could be, like, a fun, kind of campy, but dark.
Sure.
Like, just do your thing.
Just make movies. There's no reason to be like, this one sucked. Dump it all.
And
like,
bring
no.
Brendan Fraser back.
I don't know if he'll do that anymore.
Yeah, he's kind of old.
American Made. This movie came out last year or the year before. He's like a pilot. He runs cash to like Cuba or something like that. I don't fucking know. Very Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible 6. That's the one you saw.
Yeah.
With Henry Cavill. God, you need to watch the other ones. We need to do a Mission Impossible marathon. Upcoming Mission Impossible 7 and 8, and also Top Gun Maverick. I
thought that already came out.
No, it was delayed because of COVID. Then it was delayed again, and now it's
Why is it
coming
delayed
out
again?
soon. I don't know.
I remember seeing a trailer for that like 2.5 years ago.
Oh yeah, with the music and everything.
Yep.
So I hope it's a better movie than Top Gun, which again, great action, horrible.
Maybe this will be a more mature
characters.
Top Gun.
Yeah, just horrible characters and story.
Goose
Sure,
was
yeah.
cool.
Huh?
Goose was cool.
Yeah, but Goose dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler. So Tom Cruise, the actor, oftentimes running. Oftentimes
he runs and he has his hands like this a lot when he runs, like with the straight.
Oftentimes swimming. Things he likes to do.
He likes doing action stuff. He likes doing stunts. He likes holding on to planes. He likes doing halo dives.
So
he's nuts.
Yeah. So a lot of his movies require big action stunts that he likes to do himself because he's probably insane. We'll talk about that next week.
I think in the newest Mission Impossible, he broke his ankle. Yep, filming. And the part where he broke his ankle, they used that
in
take.
the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, you see it. It's when he jumps from one building to another and he doesn't quite make it. And he almost died.
Yeah, he almost died in real life.
Hold on. There's a really fun... Oh my God, I'm so angry I lost this quote.
Was it
I don't
something
know.
cool?
I don't even know where I was going to find it. Yeah, it's where Roger Ebert, on Days of Thunder, he realizes Tom Cruise, all his movies are exactly the same. And he starts listing the 9 different elements that make up a Tom Cruise movie. And I was reading them and I went, holy shit, it's so true. Maybe I'll find that for next week.
Was it like a video or like an article?
It's something that Roger Ebert said when he was alive. Anyway, so he's been a producer essentially since Mission Impossible, the first movie. All Mission Impossible movies have been at least partly produced by him.
So they're literally like his movies.
But when it comes to these action movies, it really kind of makes me believe that like he knows what he's doing. He knows what works and what makes for good action.
Yeah.
Like again, it's very hard for me to kind of like get in his head, understand what makes Tom Cruise, if you get my pun. But as an actor, I really enjoy him. I like
his work is pretty fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's rare for me to like see a movie with an actor's name in it and be like, oh, I can trust that movie. Like those days are long gone where like a certain actor being in a movie means something. And I think Tom Cruise might be like the last kind of action star. Like you know what you're going to get when you see him in a movie.
Yeah.
And there's a certain level of quality there because it's not, you can't say the same about The Rock. Like, you know what you're going to get out of a Rock movie, but you might not like that.
Yeah.
It might not, you know what I mean? They're not as good as Tom Cruise movies.
He's not as good an actor.
Really not. Again, watch Magnolia, you see his range. Watch some of these other movies like Tropic Thunder, and you see his comedic chops, even though I don't, part of me doesn't believe that he's funny, but people tell him what to say and how to say it.
And he does it very well.
And he believes that, like, this is going to work, and it's
okay,
true.
This is going to be funny.
Okay. Ha 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 ha. Have you seen him laugh, by the way? It's terrifying.
No.
It's like that. It's like how a lizard person would laugh.
Oh, man. Well, like, he does do like the...
like you're laughing at the wrong times and you're too...
He does it a lot while he's talking, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we're not talking about him as a person. We're talking about him as an actor.
Oh,
but it's
Philly
strange.
found the...
Oh, God.
He did his research.
You're redeeming yourself. Battle is the great redeemer for you. Oh, here are the 9 things. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So I have this article. Thank you, Philly. Roger Ebert's original review on Days of Thunder. And it's Days of Thunder is an entertaining example of what we might call the Tom Cruise picture, all in caps, since it assembles most of the same elements that worked in Top Gun, Color of Money, and Cocktail, and runs them through a formula once again. Parts of the plot are beginning to wear out their welcome, but the key ingredients are still effective. They include number 1, the Cruise character. Invariably a young and naive, but naturally talented kid that could be the best if he could just tame his rambunctious spirits. And looking into the future,
that's Maverick.
It's the same shit over and over again. He's just older.
Yeah.
But he still is like talented. Number 2, the mentor, an older man who has done it himself and has been there before and knows a talent when he sees it. Blah, 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 blah. In this movie, it's Rita.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's 2 people because number 3...
Yeah, Bill Paxton.
The superior woman, usually older, taller, and more mature than the Cruise character who functions as a mentor for its spirit, while the male mentor supervises his craft.
She's kind of both.
She's kind of both in this case, yeah. The craft. Number 4, which he has to master. Number 5, the arena in which he is tested.
War.
Number 6, the arcana, consisting of the specialized knowledge and lore that the movie knows about that we get to learn. This is all this movie, by the way.
Is he just doing the hero's journey, though?
But no, a lot of this stuff is specific to
Tom Cruise movies.
Tom Cruise, like the superior woman.
Oh, true.
Number 7, the trail, a journey to visit the principal places the masters crest, blah, blah, blah. Number 8, the proto-enemy, the bad guy in the opening reels of the movie who provides the hero with a opponent to practice on. But number 9 is the eventual enemy. Bad guy who turns up in the closing reels.
So is the proto-enemy the general?
Provide the hero with a test of his skill learning ability. Okay, so look.
The J Squad.
I'm going to take this with a big grain of salt because, yeah, Ebert could be describing a many number of films.
Right.
But you look at a lot of his filmography and you can see how you can put a lot of these in there. Like the young rambunctious gun has to learn a craft, perfect it, superior woman mentor characters, then defeat the enemy in the arena. Like that is specific enough that not all movies have that, but a lot of Tom Cruise movies do.
Okay.
Including at least some of the ones that I've seen here. Mission Impossible. The first one for sure.
Minority
Report?
That one might be an outlier.
Might be an outlier. That's also a very well-written movie.
It was written by Spielberg, not Cruise, I believe. He wasn't a producer on that, right?
It's based on a book. No, he wasn't.
It is based on a book.
I don't know. We'll ponder more on this when we get to next week on Oblivion. But no, overall, I really do like him as an actor. It makes it difficult to kind of treat him as a person, right?
Yeah.
He's a difficult equation to figure out.
Him being such a good actor, though, means that I wouldn't be upset if we saw him as a certain man in a tin can.
Yeah. And at first, I was very much against that. Because I'm like, no, fuck this. Fuck Tom Cruise. We don't need this. And I'm like, you know what? He'd do. Given the proper script, he'd do a good job.
Really well, yeah. Especially if it's the...
He could play a similar version of that character. So...
Well, if it's the iteration that everybody thinks it is, I think Tom Cruise will play it very well.
I think it's perfect. Because he's also like straight up evil.
Yeah.
But he has to lean into that. Because Tom Cruise has not played a lot of villains, if any.
True. He would have to lean into it.
Which
they might make it to where he's just
think
more
about
of a
Tropic Thunder.
dickhead.
Like he could do it. Given it's not his vehicle, but given a good enough script, he could do it.
He has done it before. He can do it.
He's a good actor. So keep or cancel. Again, we're gonna come back around next week. We're gonna talk about Tom Cruise, the person, the Scientologist. But as an actor producer, I really like him, and I wish him many more years of success. I would like to see if he will ever transition into an old man role.
Or if he's
going to be an action star until he fucking dies on set.
Like Sylvester, who's still alive.
I'm going to guess you're right.
Sylvester. I should have said Stallone.
I know who you're talking about. So as an actor, for sure keep.
Okay.
But an asterisk. Put an asterisk on that. What about you?
I will also say as an actor, keep him because he does amazing work. And I'm really glad we're not talking about him as a person because that's where it gets complicated.
It gets complicated. It's a sticky situation.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, acting wise, like he's a fucking master of his craft.
Absolutely. Into the Phantom Zone, this movie, Edge of Tomorrow, aka Live.Die.Repeat. Birdo, do you want to go?
Yeah. I will not put this in the Phantom Zone because I think this is a pretty great movie overall. I would actually recommend this to people to watch, and it's a shame that not a lot of people know about this movie. Like, this isn't a movie that people talk about, like, ever. Like,
no one's brought this up in conversation before. Yeah. No one's like, oh, like an Edge of Tomorrow. No one says that.
But, yeah, definitely keeping that out of the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. I really do like this movie. I have two major problems with it. It's the very beginning and the very end.
Right.
I wish those were handled differently. Everything in the middle is great. I think it does exactly what it needs to do.
So there was good meat in the sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
The bread was just a little burnt.
Why are you bringing up the bread situation? The bread's my most important part of the sandwich.
If it's a little over burnt, it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's still an edible sandwich.
This is not my metaphor. But everything in the middle of the movie, and not even the middle, past the first 10 minutes and within the last 5 minutes is fantastic. I think all of it works very well. It's a great sci-fi thriller. It's a great action movie. Groundhog's Day scenario.
Some unexpected comedy in here too.
Yeah. The amount of times we see Tom Cruise dying is funny. And Cruise himself, as we said earlier, is the one that said that's what is going to make this work, that you can't ignore the humor. You have to lean into it.
Yeah. When he goes to try and escape and he like rolls over and gets run over by the Humvee, you hear him like scream, and then like Bill Paxton just like looks at him. He's like, "Dear God, son, what were you thinking?"
It's so good. This is definitely one. Groundhog Day. Oh, it's Groundhog Day?
It is Groundhog Day.
It's not Groundhog's Day?
Nah, the groundhog doesn't own the day.
But it's his day.
It's a day for him.
It's like President's Day.
Nah, it's
not.
Groundhog Day.
It's well, I guess President's is plural. It's S apostrophe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like Valentine's Day. That's singular.
Yeah, because that's St. Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Groundhog's Day.
Eh.
Oh, fucking A, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's Groundhog Day, fine.
Yeah, the groundhog does not own the day, though.
All right, whatever. What were we saying?
You were talking about...
Anyway, great action movie, whatever. Definitely check it out. I wish they would make a sequel to this. Hopefully that TV series is related, and if it's not, then fuck it. Let's do another one. Whatever.
Yeah, it's like
do a new iteration.
what they did with that Snowpiercer.
Yeah. Make it weird and more Japanese this time.
Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah, totally lean into it. But that's pretty much it for us, you guys. What movie are we doing next week, Berto, actually?
Oblivion
2014 also?
Yeah, not the Elder Scrolls video game. The Tom Cruise movie.
Oblivion is available on HBO Max, so there you go.
And also on Prime in Canada.
So you can watch it before we sit down and talk about it if you want to play along at home, basically. Other than that, thank you for listening, and thank you for subscribing on your podcast app. Thank you to that piano dude for a musical intro. Make sure you leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Please tell a friend, and if you told a friend, thank you so much for telling a friend. You can find us on Instagram at Films from the Phantom Zone. You can find us to argue with us on Twitter at Films from PZ. We're at TikTok at Films from PZ. All these episodes are available on YouTube if that's how you like listening to your podcasts. And if you want to hang out with us while we make the show, we stream all these episodes on Twitch, on twitch.tv/filmsfrompz. We hang out with a lot of people on the chat. They distract us in the most fun way all night long while we record the show. So if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to fact check us with correct or alternate facts, you can do that. We've got Philly to the J here in the chat. The man named John
was here earlier. Caleb,
my good friend BB Cato. Who else was here? I think that's everybody.
At least anybody that spoke.
Matters. Spoke, yeah.
Matters, my God. Everybody matters.
So if you want to be like them, hang out with us here live on the stream while we record the show. Monday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then when we're not recording a podcast, we are streaming a video game. So playing a video game, just chatting with the group. I just bought Mario Kart, so maybe we'll do a Beerio Kart tournament. I thought about doing that on stream.
Can we do it the N64 one?
Are you going to bring your N64 and your multiple ways of hooking that up to an HDMI?
Ah, fucking A. It's available on Switch, sort of. Actually, it is available on Switch.
It is?
Yeah, it's on the N64 thing.
Oh, cool.
I just got to get you on my family plan.
All we got to do is do that. We can do that.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing all kinds of shit on Twitch. So Monday nights, join us there. If you want to support the show, you can do that on Patreon, Films from the Phantom Zone, where you could get our exclusive second podcast, Where's Mephisto? Where we watch whatever's streaming, and maybe we'll find Mephisto. He's got to be in there somewhere, people.
He's pulling all the strings.
He's behind. He's the puppet master. So
the devil's in the details.
Devil's in the details, guys. Otherwise, if you want to talk to us all week long, also, we have a Discord server that's linked below. So much fun. A lot of great conversations. DC, Marvel, Star Wars, theories, memes, all in there.
We just had the Discord refurbished a little bit, too. So it's a little more organized.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's ready for more people, basically.
Yeah.
So check us out there, too. Other than that, I think that's everything. And we will see you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, my God, my fucking throat. Keeping that in.